So, why are we clueless of our own unhealthy routine or cycles?
Hi, I'm Gianna, and welcome to this Deep Talk.
We have established that sometimes we find ourselves trying to achieve a goal, but we always approach it with the same behavior or the same pattern. So, what is it that makes it hard for us to get out of this pattern? In repeatedly engaging in the same behavior or approach despite desiring change is what we call a RUT or a cycle. And when we are in this mind space, we are subconsciously sabotaging. And I am quoting To Be Magnetic here, where they said, your authenticity is so subconsciously afraid of being let down that it protects itself through bad habits and not letting in anything new and good. I'll list down several reasons of why we struggle to break out of our own patterns, no matter how we know that it is not good for us anymore. 1. Habituation. We get used to this routine, hence we get comfortable with it, and we become a creature of habits, that we even still follow these patterns even if it is not serving us well anymore. So the challenge here is to break out of these comforts, which requires conscious efforts. Another reason is cognitive biases. And due to our mind's biases, this reinforces our existing patterns of thinking and behavior. Hence, it is so hard for us to think our way to considering any alternative approaches. And an example of a cognitive bias is confirmation bias, where we seek out information from others just to confirm our existing beliefs before even doing anything else forward. Another is anchoring, where we find ourselves relying too heavily on one piece of information. Next hindrance that stops us from getting out of our own cycle, no matter how destructive it can be, is because of the fear of the unknown. And this is when our imagination fails. The uncertainty creates a huge fear, no matter how unideal our current situation is, over the unknown. So we choose to stay in this corner of our lives because we feel comfortable with it. Thus, this is being reinforced by our limited perspective. Due to the lack of perspective or creativity to envision alternative solutions or approaches to the problem, we subconsciously choose to stay where we are because we have this fear of the unknown that is being reinforced by our limited perspective. And last to mention here is our poor understanding of our emotions. When we are not great at navigating our emotions and use them as our guide to get them to our advantage, emotion only projects the hard ones such as fear, anxiety, or stress, which clouds our judgment and make it harder to break out of the rut that we are in. So when we are stuck in this specific thinking, no matter how hard you try to get out of this loop, we are called to be gentle of ourselves instead, be present in the process, and forgive the pain and the shame that is brought by these limitations, and understand that we have so much room to grow and evolve into. Knowing your authentic codes and values are a great start to build a foundation that will then serve as your North Star when everything gets muddy and you get yourself in a rut. So, what is your authentic thoughts? What are your values at this stage of your life? Have you been clear about it? Do you still remember it? Or do you just mention it in passing? Figuring out my own has been a cultivation of my relationship with myself and the way I see the ride of life. It changes my perspective, and I use this as my North Star whenever I get too muddled with all this rut and feeling just unguided. So an invitation: explore your authentic codes and values and see if you are close to it or have been thrown far away from it. Because knowing how close you are or getting far away from it might bring light in many areas that you did not expect to realize. And thanks for taking the time to listen and be reflective with me. Love you always.